Welcome to Razzball Radio Fantasy Sports Network. I'm your host, Nick Capozzi, and it's Fun Day Monday because, we had a full slate of games on the weekend last week before we kick in a bye. So the bye weeks, of course, for the NFL season. So lots to get to today. So let's bring in the head football editor over at Razzball.com. What's up, Jay Longfellow, a.k.a. JayWrong?
Nothing much. What a weekend of football. I think we've reached the age, the epoch of WTF in the NFL.
What, the football?
It's just, yeah, you could put it that way. Yeah, you could put it mildly, but I would grow a little more gratuitous. But yeah, just a strange season so far, I have to say, right?
Man, let's get right into it because there's a lot to get to. And let's start with a strange game. Detroit beats Green Bay 19-7. What's wrong with Green Bay? Aaron Rodgers, 16 for 27, 162 yards, a touchdown. Eddie Lacy, though, this is the one I want to talk to you about, Jay. 11 for 36. He's averaging 12 rushes for 37.6 yards in the first three games.
Yeah,
What's up with Eddie Lacy?
You should be loving Lacy because he kind of reminds me of David Wilson, right? No, the thing with Lacy is I'm slightly concerned. I'd be lying if I didn't say that, but he has faced off against three really stingy rush defenses. So I'd like to see what he does against Chicago on short rest this upcoming week.
You know what? You take away those two big carries he had in the first drive against Seattle, and he's averaging like 22 yards per game. You know what? Forget worried. I mean, you spent the top 5 pick on this guy.
Right, and you'd be better off, starting Ahmad Bradshaw, who you probably picked in the 15th, 16th garbage rounds, And,
why you gotta make people sad like that, Jay?
Yeah, but I'm still not panicking yet. I'd still like to see what he does.
All right, Matthew Stafford wasn't great either. 23 for 34, 246 yards, a couple of INTs. Bell and Bush still splitting the carries, but Bush had a nice game yesterday. 18 touches, 99 yards, and a touchdown. No touchdowns for Calvin. What's up? Okay, guess which team? We're going to talk about Oakland and New England right now. The Patriots beat the Raiders 16-9. Which team leads the NFL in lowest offensive yards per play attempt?
Raiders?
No, the Patriots.
Really? Wow.
Seriously, yeah, 4.3. Raiders actually averaging 4.7. From a fantasy perspective, the game kind of gave you the numbers you'd expect, but the game was a lot closer. Raiders played tough, especially traveling from the west to east. Not much to talk about here because Edelman goes for 10 catches. Gronk gets a touchdown, drops another one. His snaps he's playing has gone up. He played about over 55%. Not much there other than the Patriots haven't got that offense churning yet. Will they?
It's tough to see. If going against the Raiders, where I believe they were favored by 14, if that's correct.
14 and a half.
If they can't do that at home, it gives you some pause. It's still early in the season. We're at that point where we're approaching the first quarter, and it's still hard to find out what is going on. Like, I mentioned at the beginning, it's really crazy what's happening, but I still think you have to be patient with the guys that you have. Patriots do look a little subdued. I will say that. I still want to hold out hope that this is not the Patriots that we'll see in the coming season.
You also look slightly subdued today, so maybe that's why you're giving that sharp analysis.
Yeah,
I'm just teasing you, buddy. I know you stay up late watching the games because, of course, he does the rundown every Monday at football.razzball.com. Check it out. Indianapolis 44, Jacksonville 17. Luck was surgical. What I like best about that whole offense right now, the ball distribution is going to all the pass catchers. Bradshaw and T. Rich are, splitting the carries and touches. But the interesting thing here, Bortles replaces Henne, named the starter for the rest of the season already. Guess you're putting your eggs in that basket, eh? Gus goes 14 for 24, 223, 2 and 2. I mean, that's it from that game. Is Bortles going to be useful this year?
Yeah, great things are already happening in the Bort era. I saw them cross the 50-yard line.
Did you say the Bort era?
The Bort era, that's what we're calling it, yeah. They crossed the 50-yard line. I was so amazed at it. I think what we've learned so far with the Jaguars is whenever
Toby Gerhart sucks. Yes,
right. Well, besides that, yeah, you want to start all offensive principles against the Jaguars. I think I could probably start my dead grandmother, and she would do well against them. So next week, they face the Chargers. I think you have to start everyone on the Chargers. Just have an all-Chargers team.
All right, well, and that would be a great stack if you're playing daily fantasy at DraftKings.com. Enter the promo code Razzball when signing up. I killed it at DraftKings this weekend, by the way. Let's talk about your San Diego Superchargers, 22-10 over Buffalo. Buffalo's a really good D, but that offense is a mess. Manuel, 23 for 39, but he was dinking and dunking and checked down in. He's holding back the entire O. Spiller has been horrible other than that one big run called back by a flag. F-Jax was useful, 14 touches, 112 yards and a touchdown. San Diego just needs to manage the game because they pounded the ball with Donald Brown, even though the yards weren't great. 2 touchdowns for Eddie Royal. Who knew? Who knew? So how does Buffalo get this offense going this year, or is this just going to be a wasteland once again in Buffalo?
Well, I mean, we talked about this in the preseason. You know, the team will go as far as E.J. Manuel takes them. Now, you, of course, have been very high on him. I've been very low.
Come
And
on. I
not
reverse
roughing
course on that.
I'm not roughing the passer here. I'm just saying the evidence is showing that my argument is a little bit stronger at this point. He made some really bad decisions yesterday as well, and it affects the entire team. I mean, Sammy Watkins, when Manuel does well, of course Watkins is going to do well. So it's a process for him. When he crosses next level, if he does, I think the team will be good, but we have to wait for that. You know, with the Chargers, I was very low on Donald Brown, and there's a reason for that. I mean, Woodhead, before he got injured for the year, was listed as the starter. It's that Donald Brown, he made Trent Richardson look like a viable flex option with his, 0.5 yards per carry. So it's true he'll be the primary back. I'm not sure on the upside there. I still think, in fact, you mentioned Eddie Royal. I think he actually goes into the Danny Woodhead mode and where he'll get those short touches where he could get yards after the catch and potentially be a big red zone option besides Gates.
Eddie Royal could fill that Danny Woodhead role. Of course, Woodhead, again, done for the season. Royal's kind of like a roller coaster there. Roller coaster, though. He has one great year, disappears for a couple of years, makes a comeback. So, but I could see him kind of picking up that Danny Woodhead role because he's probably the same size as Danny Woodhead. All right, Jay, listen, I tell you what. I want to talk about, I'll let you think about this over the break, which team in the NFL has not given up a sack yet. We'll talk about them right after this. Fantasy Sports Network, Razzball Radio. I'm Nick Capozzi. He's JayWrong. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Nick Capozzi, Jay Longfellow, a.k.a. JayWrong. This is Razzball Radio, and we're on the Fantasy Sports Network. Thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Okay, we are going through the games. Before the break, Jay, I asked you which team has yet to give up an offensive sack. Who is it?
I want to go wild card here. I want to go Cardinals.
No,
is it the Cardinals?
Houday.
No.
Houday. It is the Cincinnati Bengals, 33-7 over Tennessee. Absolutely dominant defense. Great performance against Jake Locker, who looked lost yesterday. Lots of touches for everybody. Key takeaways here: AJ Green is back, looked good, 6 for 102. Mohamed Sanu threw a touchdown. Who knew? Sanu. And that's what this team has to do to make the playoffs. This team can't just make the playoffs. They have to go deep in the playoffs this year. But that defense, outstanding, doesn't give up a sack. Again, only team in the NFL thus far to do that. The real takeaways here from Tennessee is Locker looks awful. He's holding back Wright. He's holding back Hunter, 5 for 44 and 3 for 37 respectively. How soon till we see Zach Mettenberger?
I mean, I think they're going to be committed to Locker for at least this season. What he's done so far, it like you said, it's definitely holding all the entire offense back. The one positive you can take away from the Titans yesterday is Bishop Sankey finally got some time. He showed some things, and I think if he continues to do so, his role will expand. Sean Green isn't exactly a primary running back in today's football. At least that's my opinion. So I think watching Sankey do that, he might become a viable waiver wire option as we move on. Again, Kendall Wright. That's just Jake Locker's fault, I think. I'd love to see him do something. I had lofty expectations, but it's become kind of a speed bump area there. So
yeah, it's a mess. Hide your Titans. Just hide. Stick them under a couch cushion. Just keep them away from the light. It's ugly right now in Tennessee. Hey, let's play some more fun with stats. Guess which team has yet to have a turnover this season in the NFL?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Out of time, buddy. It is the Cleveland or Believeland Browns, who almost beat Baltimore again. Man, that D is playing tough, and that's what they're doing. They're not turning the ball over. Hoyer's just managing that game. That rushing attack looks good. West goes 12 for 36 and a touchdown. Crowell 11 for 55 and a touchdown. I think as the season goes on, Crowell actually looks like the better running back to me. Better cuts, quicker to the hole. I also said last week, Hawkins, Austin worth rostering, 7 for 87 and 6 for 51 and a touchdown respectively. So Browns, I like you right now. We're happy with you. But let's get to what's going on in Baltimore, because that is where it gets a little bit messy. Pitta hurt, probably out for the year with a dislocated hip. Breakout game for Taliaferro, 18 rushes, 91 yards and a touchdown. Steve Smith, still the number one wide receiver there, 5 for 101. Torrey, a disaster, 2 for 25. You could talk about Torrey, or you could talk about Taliaferro. You tell me.
Well, I've always been low on Torrey, so we don't have to go through that. Taliaferro, Bernard Pierce, he's still likely to be the starter.
I think so too.
But his leash is shorter. It's a lot shorter. I think Harbaugh was heaping praise on Taliaferro, and he does have the highest ceiling there. Again, sad news for Dennis Pitta. It is the same hip from 2013, and it makes Owen Daniels the primary tight end, which gives me flashes of 2009. Like, I feel like we've gotten to the time machine, so that'll be interesting to watch. With the Crowell situation, it's difficult because you'd like to add him on waivers. There's always a potential for him to be the better back over Terrence West, but you have Ben Tate coming back after the bye, which will complicate things. So I'd probably hold off and wait until see how the situation develops.
I think, too, another key takeaway there is both these rookie running backs holding on to the ball. Again, the Browns 0 turnovers. Let's head to New Orleans. And I thought New Orleans was going to beat the jambalaya out of Minnesota at home because they were angry. And you saw the frustration with Drew Brees and his laser eyes. New Orleans 20-9. Let's talk first about the Saints. Kerry Robinson took over the Ingram role, 18 for 69. Good game for Cooks, 8 for 74. Jimmy Graham, where's the touchdown, buddy? Still had 6 for 54. Stills 4 for 38. So about what we expected there. But the interesting thing here, goodbye, Matt Castle. Hello, Teddy Bridgewater. How does Teddy Bridgewater affect the skill position players, specifically Cordero Patterson in Minnesota, brother?
I don't think there's much of a change as of yet. I think the only thing that Bridgewater brings to the table at this point that Castle doesn't is mobility. It'll be interesting to see how it develops. Obviously, he has a higher ceiling. He's probably a little more accurate, but with young quarterbacks, you don't know what you're going to get. Forgiving me to bring in Forrest Gump. But with Drew Brees, again, he just needs to stop throwing to people who aren't Jimmy Graham for all the fantasy owners. I think we need to send him that message.
I'm with you.
Kerry Robinson, I was a little disappointed. The coaching staff was really big on saying that he's going to get a heavy workload this week. Probably we should ask their definition of heavy and workload. I think those are the two main takeaways for Robinson. So.
All right, we got to go through the next two games quick. Giants beat Houston 30-17. Jennings was a monster, 34 for 176 and a touchdown. Victor Cruz makes an appearance, 5 for 107. Fitz finally melts down, 3 interceptions. But talk to me here about Alfred Blue. Nice couple of runs, went 13 for 78. Is he really going to kind of take that Ben Tate role in that Houston offense?
I'm not seeing it yet. He looked impressive early in the game, but he kind of faded away. He's still a good handcuff. With Arian Foster, you just never know. He's expected to be ready on Sunday, which means he'll probably miss another 4 to 6 weeks, if I'm doing the math right on that. With Victor Cruz, it was great seeing him break through. I think he hadn't had a touchdown since week 4 of the Reagan administration.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see him do that. Eli Manning, somewhat of a rebound. Rashad Jennings looked, I don't know if it's because the Texans are awful, but he looked like a beast. So that's always good to see. He probably did it on someone's bench at that point, though. But hopefully he can. It's a sign of things to come for him.
All right, we have about 30 seconds here, real quick. Dallas beats St. Louis. Austin Davis looked pretty darn good, though, at least in the beginning. Another great game for Murray. But just talk to me. Does that passing game get going? 30 seconds. Go.
I think it does. I mean, he still has error issues. I mean, I think that pick 6, it might have been a game. It might have been a tribute to Tony Romo since he was in that stadium last night. Zach Stacy continues to look good. I like Brian Quick. He's kind of a sleeper for. I mean, maybe not a sleeper, but
anymore.
Right. I think he's an ad there. And Tony Romo, he's looking like his back is getting healthier. He didn't look too spectacular in the first 2 games. And DeMarco being DeMarco and Dez being Dez. So.
Yeah, there you go. Tony Romo, actually technically fun with stats again, more error prone than Windows 8. Okay, this is Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network, back right after this. More games to get to. Welcome back, Razzball Radio. Nick Capozzi, Jay Longfellow, the head football editor over at Razzball.com. You want to read the rundown on Monday. It goes way more in depth than we do because we only have this short but beautiful window of time to hang out with you, the viewer. Okay, talk to me. Philadelphia 37, Washington 34. Very exciting game. There are a ton of stats here, but I will tell you this. Nick Foles currently leads the NFL in yardage, 978 passing yards, ahead of Ryan and Luck. Kirk Cousins, 30 for 48, 427, 3 touchdowns and an interception. I don't know if he's given up that job. Forget this year, maybe ever. Garcon, exceptional. Djax, exceptional. Paul, useful. Just real quick for Philadelphia, Macklin, huge game, 8 for 158 and a touchdown. Matthews, 8 for 59, 2 touchdowns. It was a ticker tease, though, because what happened to LaShawn McCoy? Hold on. LaShawn, where's LaShawn? Where's LaShawn McCoy?
I know, 900 yards of offense with none of it going to McCoy.
My goodness.
Yeah, with McCoy, I know the offensive line was in shambles, but he didn't look right after the big hit he took in the first half. I mean, they did their concussion tests, and they came out negative, but he just looked off the rest of the game. I mean, that's my professional medical opinion, so you should probably not take me seriously here. But it just he didn't look good after that. Foles, I worry about him next Sunday because he's going to have to perfect his one-step drop because of the turnstiles that are be in front of him. Their JV squads are probably going to have to start for both teams next week. They just everyone was dropping left and right. Kirk Cousins looked good, but he also had flashes of Tony Romo, so I'm not sure. It's a measured good, I think. That one interception late in the game was pretty was an error to make it sound kind.
Guess who leads the NFL in game-winning scoring drives? Nick Foles with 3. He's done it in all 3 games. All right, we got to move on. Arizona 23, San Fran 14. I watched this whole game. Drew Stanton's completion percentage was weak again, but leads the Cards to a victory. It's going to be a guessing game to see which Cards wide receiver is going to get the targets here, because last week it was Fitz, this week it was Floyd. But the interesting guy here, John Brown, the young burner out of Pitt State, 4 for 52, 2 touchdowns. On the San Fran side, 0 rushing game for the 49ers. Gore, 6 for 10. Hyde, 3 for 13. But Stevie Johnson took Vernon Davis's catches. He went 9 for 103. Here are my 2 questions for you. Which wide receiver do you start in Arizona? And then secondly, is Carlos Hyde now the goal line back in San Francisco?
Yeah, with the Cardinals, I have to disagree with you a little. It's not too much of a guessing game because I can assure you that Larry Fitzgerald is nowhere to be seen. He will not be thrown to, apparently. So it appears that he is John Brown's handcuff from this point on. A $17 million decoy, if you will. It was nice to see Michael Floyd take off. Watching that game, I watched a little bit of it too. Drew Stanton seems to still continuing his throw it deep and pray maneuver, and it worked a little bit. Ellington's still doing Ellington type things. Kaepernick was the leading rusher for the 49ers. I like Hyde. I think he was going to be the touchdown option going into the season, and it looks like he's emerging as just that, which makes him I don't know, flex viable at some point.
Oh, he's flex viable right now.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. Because, against that Arizona defense, he only touched the ball 3 times, or only had 3 rushes, pardon me, but I think he is going to get the goal line rushes. All right, we're going to gloss over the KC-Miami game. I'll just say Niles Davis, all over the Fish, 32 for 132 and a touchdown. Lamar Miller, 15 for 108. Not too bad for the Fish. But let's talk about one of the most exciting games I've seen in a long time. Seattle, 26, Denver, 20 in overtime. Where's Monty Ball? 14 for 38. He's suffering from Eddie Lacy-itis. And where's Demarius? 4 for 31. Here's something really interesting. Julio Jones leads the NFL in receiving, 365. Jordy Nelson second, 351. Seems kind of logical. Emmanuel Sanders third, 334 receiving yards, but also leads the NFL in receptions with 25. What's the story in the passing game there?
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like maybe throwing to your number one receiver in Denver isn't the cool thing to do anymore. I'm not sure what's going on. The thing with Monty Ball, it's hard sometimes to pat myself on the back. I do it so much, sometimes I pull something. But, going into the preseason, I was not high on him at all. I think I was one of the, I guess, experts. I'll use air quotes, but I was one of the few who had him ranked outside the top 10 of running backs and had him at a third or fourth round value. I got shellacked for that from a lot of people. And I don't want to say I told you so. It's still early, but he's done nothing that has impressed me, and he's done nothing that has impressed anyone else.
I'm
He
with
has
you.
shown bad protection, bad ball control, all the things I worried about. We've had issues with. So moving forward, of course he has potential. Of course, he wasn't worth that first round value that everyone was pumping up for. So.
All right, Sunday night game, Pittsburgh 37, Carolina 19. I was kind of surprised. Carolina's defense at home, Levy and Bell chewed through them like a Primani brother sandwich, 21 for 147, then took a rest, and Blunt rolled out for 10 for 118. Also, what can Brown do for you? Well, Antonio can go 10 for 90 with 2 touchdowns. Still no running game for the Panthers. K. Benjamin continues to emerge, 8 for 115 and a touchdown. What happened to Carolina's defense?
Yeah, I mean, the
Actually,
front
let me rephrase that. Sorry, is Pittsburgh's offense that good, or did Carolina's defense just have a hiccup?
Maybe it's a little of both. I wasn't impressed by the Steelers against the Ravens. They look like a hot dumpster fire. But they showed something. I mean, the front seven is supposed to be really strong. Now, the only difference was from the past 2 weeks is there's no Greg Hardy. Does he make that much of a difference? It's hard to say. I mean, one guy,
No.
it seems, you can't put it all on him, but maybe it's just one of those games where the Panthers look bad. Obviously, they have no running game except Cam Newton. You and I have been saying that the whole time. I mean, Jonathan Stewart, every time I see him run, he looks like he wants to hit the pause button in the middle of the play to see what's going on. Antonio Brown, he's a wide receiver one. He always has been. He'll probably lead the league in horizontal yards after the catch.
Jay,
Yeah.
I hate to cut you off, man, because you're
No,
giving
20 more minutes.
such high quality insight and analysis. But we got to go, brother, because
We
that's
need
all
a
the time
sequel.
we have too much intel for you. So
Yeah.
if you need more of it, go to football.razzball.com or tweet us at Nick Capozzi, at JayWrong. Tomorrow we'll be back. T-Hole is going to join us. T-Hole is taking over Tuesdays. T-Hole Tuesdays, talking waiver wire. Jay, we love you, buddy. Thanks for joining us today. Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. See you tomorrow.